Imagine a princess, happy and smiling, walking into a room, not knowing that in just a few minutes her whole world would change. Doctors told Kate something no mother ever wants to hear. Her calm face crumbled and tears started to fall. Why was this secret kept for so long? Why didn't anyone at the palace see this coming? What does this mean for the royal family and for little Prince Louis? Before we dig deeper into what this really means, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any new information. It all started with a simple phone call, like many Kate had received before. No warnings, no rush, just a polite request. But something felt wrong about the timing, like the air itself had changed before she even walked through the door. In the palace, people often whisper before speaking, and this time the quiet felt very loud. Inside the room, it felt cold and too serious for what she was told were just everyday things. Louis had some tests, yes, but she thought they were just normal checkups, nothing to worry about. Or so she believed. But the faces of the people across from her told a different story. Their expressions were serious, they paused before speaking, and they chose their words very carefully. Then came the words no parent is ready for, words that felt heavy and final. The doctors didn't guess or try to make it sound softer. They spoke as if they had known this for a long time, as if they were just finally telling her something that had been kept quiet. And because of those heavy words, Kate broke down. Knowing that such a serious problem had been growing in secret, hidden behind rules and promises, made Kate's calm self disappear. People who were there later said they heard a chair scrape back, a sudden gasp of air, and hands shaking as the truth hit her. This wasn't just confusion, it was deep sadness mixed with shock, making her ask impossible questions. How could I have missed this? Who knew about this before me? Right away, the palace's big machinery started moving. Phones went silent. Secret communication lines were shut down. Talks stopped in the middle of sentences. Orders were given without explaining why. Helpers moved quickly, not to comfort Kate, but to keep things quiet, to hold the information, to manage the response, to keep Kate hidden until she was led away. People who saw said she disappeared down a secret hallway, her eyes red and her face pale, as if something big and sad had just landed on her shoulders. Workers were told not to talk, not to guess, not to remember what they had seen, and not to listen to gossip, because whatever had just been revealed was supposed to stay a secret within those walls. But secrets often find a way to slip out through tiny cracks that no one notices at first. The palace was already getting ready for the trouble this would cause, and Kate was left alone with a fear that changes a mother's world completely. She knew this moment couldn't stay hidden forever. However, to truly understand how big this situation is, we need to go back to the small signs that were missed and the hints that the palace tried to ignore. He was the happy, playful light of the palace. But underneath Louis's cute smile, there were small signs that many people didn't notice, some ignored, and others just thought were a phase. Now looking back, those signs seem scary. What were the clues and who buried them? Small things that were hardly noticed at first were the beginning. He was a little slow in learning to talk. Sometimes his movements weren't as smooth as they should be. He would sometimes stop playing quietly, which at first seemed like him just imagining things, but now it makes people worried. With public appearances, important events, and photo shoots where Prince Louis was expected to smile on cue, the royal schedule moved fast. But beneath those carefully chosen pictures, there were moments of quiet worry that no one wanted to admit. At events, staff started to see how quickly Louis would get tired. After waving for just a few minutes, he would hold onto Kate's hand, clearly exhausted. Videos shared online showed him falling asleep during ceremonies, blinking slowly, looking far away. Fans thought it was cute. Commentators said he was just overwhelmed, but some people inside the palace started to whisper. Something didn't feel right. The nanny was the first to carefully and quietly tell a senior helper. She had watched many children grow up, and Louis was different. She noticed how he struggled to follow directions, how he sometimes lost his balance, and how he often stopped moving when there was too much going on around him. She wasn't trying to cause panic, just showing concern, but worrying in the royal family can be risky. Kate heard about it long before anyone officially told her. She felt it. Mothers always do. She felt a deep, unspoken connection with Louis that told her something was wrong. But each time she brought it up or when her voice showed how worried she was met with quick assurances and tight smiles. Boys develop differently, they said. He's in the spotlight, they added. He just needs time. But Kate wasn't worried about time. They were wasting time by ignoring the problem. Happy family videos that were once joyful were now replayed as scary hints. The birthday video where Louis didn't respond to his name. The garden photo where he looked blankly for a few seconds too long. Kate started watching them over and over, looking for patterns, hoping for a mistake. But the truth was becoming clearer. Experts had already been quietly and secretly asked for their opinions. Kate wanted answers, not just proper behavior or tabloid rumors. She wanted real answers. Tests were ordered, but they got stuck somewhere between being asked for and actually being done. Someone in the palace had purposely pressed the pause button. The reason was easy to guess, how it looked to the public: timing, privacy, but the cost was too high. Louis was slipping through the cracks of a system that cared too much about its image to protect its own. And for the woman who had always followed the rules, who had learned to live politely with royal duties, this quiet was starting to break. As soon as Kate started looking for answers, palace politics took over, starting a fight between royal tradition and a mother's gut feeling. She begged for clear information. They gave her rules and procedures. Behind the palace's fancy walls, Kate's quiet pleas were blocked by advisors who were loyal not to her, but to the king. What secrets were they hiding, and how far did they go to keep the truth from coming out? In the days after the first diagnosis, Kate found that she was fighting against a huge institution, not just a sickness. She wasn't asking for big headlines. She was asking for second opinions and talks with top experts, not just the ones the palace had chosen. But each time the answer was no, not yet, not needed, not a good idea. And underneath every polite refusal was the same message: hold on, be quiet, stay in line. Advisors told her to be careful. They called the test results preliminary. They pointed out that nothing was confirmed, that going outside palace rules could cause unnecessary panic, and that any mistake might cause a media storm. But Kate saw it as a darker kind of trap. They weren't trying to find the truth. They were trying to control the situation. Every time she tried to get clearer answers, she met with cold rules, delays, or people changing the subject. It wasn't just that they didn't care. Their resistance was on purpose. Tension quickly grew between Kate and her own private secretary, a woman who had long been seen as one of her closest friends. Some say Kate confronted her late one evening, her voice quiet but shaking with anger. "Why are you defending the organization instead of my son?" There was no answer that could make her feel better, so no answer did. William, who always seemed so calm, was in a tough spot. He was both a father and a future king, a man deeply in love with his wife but raised to serve something bigger than himself. Kate counted on him for support, but people close to them said his position was often unsure and conflicted. He asked for patience. He asked her to trust the system, but the system was suffocating her. King Charles, even after being told everything, reportedly responded in a cold, almost distant way. He talked about duty, the family's story, and their legacy. Kate said he never once mentioned Louis's name to her. That silence said it all. And suddenly in the background, Camilla started to act. She didn't speak publicly. She didn't need to. Her influence worked behind the scenes, quiet but powerful. Many believe it was Camilla's people who argued against more tests, who made Kate's fears seem like emotional overreactions, who quietly suggested that the future queen was becoming hard to manage. Whispers became murmurs. Murmurs affected decisions. Kate wasn't being ignored, she was being silenced. Tradition and control made her voice, her gut feeling, and her power as a mother weaker. And each door she knocked on closed a little faster. She was no longer just trying to find answers. She was fighting to be allowed to ask any questions at all. But secrets can only be buried for so long. And when the information finally leaked, it didn't just drip out. It exploded. It wasn't meant to get out, but one secret message changed everything. The royal media world was set on fire by an anonymous, shocking, and undeniable leak that came from deep inside the palace's medical area, and that one leak changed everything. What the palace had tried so hard to keep secret was now out of control. Medical quiet turned into public doubt. Carefully managed stories started to break apart, and for the first time, the royal system could no longer decide what the world was allowed to know. For Kate, this was no longer about rules, family history, or public image. It was about a mother standing alone against a powerful system built to silence anything uncomfortable. Whatever the real diagnosis was, whatever had been delayed, hidden, or ignored, it was now impossible to fix the harm caused by that silence. Because when the truth is put off to protect an image, the cost is always paid by the weakest ones. As questions keep popping up, one thing is clear: this story isn't finished. It's only just starting. Subscribe now for all the details, updates, and what the palace doesn't want you to know.